Hi folks, time for another video. I wanted to make one last video to kind of clear up and finish out everything I did in Kingman, Arizona. And so in this video, which I think you'll like, we're going to look at trains and murals. I may have mentioned this before on a previous video, but as you leave the town of Kingman, you go through this mountainous region. There are two mountains and the road goes in between. So if you look over on the left, there are a couple of train tracks that go around the mountains. So I found a road that goes in there right next to those train tracks. And so over a period of 2 days, I went in there and waited for trains to come by and recorded some clips of what I thought you'd like or that would be interesting. I have looked through them all and I've picked out 5 that I'm going to show you on this video. So the first clip is a train that you can see coming in the distance. You can see the smoke even coming out of the top of it, and it's slowly coming toward me. And I just think it's beautiful the way it goes through this kind of cut in the rocks. You know, it's like the rocks are just cut in half where the train track goes. So I'm able to ride along with this train after it comes through. So the next train I want to show you is when I was thinking about what are actually in those rail cars. Sometimes you can tell what are in them and sometimes you can't. So in this one, I tried to fly up to a train and look down and see what was inside of some of the rail cars. And I tried not to run into the mountain. This next clip shows a train with carrying rocks. These trains go a lot slower than some of the other trains. I mean, to begin with, the trains have to go slow when they're going through this mountainous region. Trains that are really heavy go a lot slower. I actually like that because that means I can more easily fly by them. For those of you who like the artist Mary Chapin Carpenter, there's a song, one of her songs, where she says she stands on the railroad track waiting for the train to see how her heart will react. So when I was making this clip, that's kind of how I felt, seeing the train coming directly at me. I mean, I knew I could get out of the way, which I did, but just that feeling there for a second. And the last clip is one where I just thought this one had a lot of beauty to it because you're able to see the rocks. I'm kind of below the rocks in the beginning, and then I'm able to kind of float up and look at the train go by. This is the last of the 5 clips because in the end you see the train go off into the distance, kind of like, you know, going off into the sunset. I just thought it was a nice ending to the clips for the train. After my 2 days of filming out at the mountains, looking at the trains, I looked to see if there was anything else I needed to do while I was in Kingman. So I looked on the map and I found out there was this town about 45 minutes north called Chloride. So I looked to see what was in Chloride. So Chloride is, first of all, it's kind of a mining town or an old western town. I want to say deserted, but it's not really. I mean, there are people that actually live there. Back in the 60s, there was a gentleman there by the name of, his last name was Purcell, and he was going through a period of personal growth and enlightenment and that kind of thing. And so to work with this or deal with this and express this, he went into the mountains and he painted these murals onto the rocks in the mountains. Now, as I said, he did this in the 60s, so they've been there a while. So a lot of people have seen them and made a trip to them. So I drove up to Chloride, and then it's about, I guess, 1.25 miles, something like that, on the dirt road back to the rocks to look at the murals. Some of the murals you can just walk right up and look at. You can kind of climb on the rocks a little bit to get to them, which I did. The only problem is that when you fall off, you can bang yourself up. So I didn't do a whole lot of climbing. But I did take a look at some of the murals. Obviously, this guy had some talent. I'm sure he's no longer around. It's good that he could express himself this way and that it has stuck around for as long as it has. So I decided I would do some drone footage of it since it's, kind of high up and it's easier to see things when they're high up. And so I did a few takes, with the drone. And then as I was doing one of my last takes, just getting ready to go, there was a car that drove up. And a gentleman got out, and I talked to him. His name is Richie, and real nice guy, and originally from Louisiana, recently moved to Arizona, and he also likes camping like I do. And so we chatted for a little while, and he gave me some tips on some places to camp, which I will do definitely when it gets a little bit warmer. And it was nice talking to somebody new. Because of the pandemic, I haven't really been talking to anybody. You'll notice on these videos, you hardly see anybody anymore. And whereas in the past, I used to always engage people and put them in my videos. But because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to do that. So, we were outdoors, so it was fine. So anyway, talked to Richie, and I offered to photograph him standing in front of the murals with the drone, so he could show his wife and kids when he got back. So yeah, so ran into somebody new, and as I said, I'm always glad to meet new people and exchange tips and that kind of thing. So that's all for my trip to Kingman / Chloride. So I know you tune into these videos because of the scenery, pretty much. So I think you should have gotten some good scenery looking at those trains, because I really like those. I love trains. I mean, just something magical about those trains. I don't know if it's just it's probably because they're going around the mountain, and you don't see that very often. Usually when you see train tracks, you see them out in the open, going flat, going straight. You don't usually see them curve around the mountains, and so that part was fascinating to me. Anyway, so thanks for joining me, and that's it for now. Take care.